Get your cup, your mug, your glass, your tankard, your chalice, your thermos, your stein, your canteen jug or flask, your vessel of any kind, and fill it with your favorite liquid. I'm drinking water today, and join me now for the unparalleled pleasure, the dopamine hit of the day. The thing that makes everything, literally everything better. And you can do it as many times as you want. It doesn't even have, it can be on recording. The physical equations that prove that our space machines are also time machines, those things have shown that simultaneity is relative. So you can actually do this any time of the day. Join me now for the unparalleled pleasure, the dopamine hit of the day, the thing that makes everything. It's called the simultaneous sip, and it happens right now. Go. That's some good stuff right there. Wait a minute. Is this really supposed to be 11? Yes, it is. Okay, fantastic. We've got everything set up. One more thing to do. Okay. Hey, look who we have. All right. We've been rescued, everybody. In the last two videos, I've been mispronouncing everything, and we have some Greek to look at. And we have our Greek expert here. Darling, Angel, love, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How about you, Zara? What's going on?
I'm better now
Back
that
at
I can
last?
hear you. I'm glad this is working.
Back at last? Are you back at last?
Back at last, back at last. Thank God Almighty, we are back at last.
All right.
We've been
I
making
saw
lots
that
and
you
lots of
held an
content.
Aquinas session earlier, eh?
What's that, darling?
You held an Aquinas, Theologizing with Aquinas, earlier
Yeah.
today, didn't you?
Yeah, we've done 2 recordings today, and this is our 3rd. I'll show you what we're doing, actually, if anybody else wants to see. This could be useful. So let me pull this up right here and share this instead. We have a new class on Aquinas' Summa Theologica. It has a password. DM me if you want to be a part of this. And what we've done so far is we're going to read through the entire Summa Theologica. Dr. Tartaglia has been showing up. The videos are on the web page. Let's see if we can make this a little bit clearer to see. Okay. So we have read through the Treatise on Sacred Doctrine. It's divided into 10 sub-questions of the question of the nature and extent of sacred doctrine. So we've done them all. We've got the text of the Summa Theologica here with external links to citations made in the objections or in his arguments. We have our notes formalizing his arguments. We have cartoon versions of this and pictures that show the sort of models Aquinas is using. And we've done that through the whole first treatise. And so we'll scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. We've done all this and looked at this and blah, blah, blah. And then we got to the second treatise and we did the first question. And Roger has been a massive help since he joined near the end of the beginning of this next section. We did the existence of God questions, whether or not it can be proven and how it might be, if it could be, and then trying to prove that it is. And we still have some more stuff to add there, but we've got our videos. They're available on here. However, what we did after all of this was instead of moving on to the third question, we decided to do a huge video. I think this one is super long. This is class 7. Yeah, it's 4 hours and 42 minutes where Roger takes us through. Okay, so we've been talking the entire time about how Aristotelian it is to be a scholastic and how Aristotle's quoting the philosopher and he's quoting Aristotle. So we decided we'd look at some Aristotelian segments, and what we found was everything we had read in Aquinas was basically there in Aristotle, not just basically, kind of shockingly there. And so we did a whole video on a bunch of Aristotle stuff. Then I added some Platonic supplements last night. Some things where Aquinas is arguing against Anselm and saying you can't do it that way. So we read Anselm. We've noticed one of the things we've noticed in this class, which I was hoping we would notice, is how Aquinas is basically like a tent, and he's pulling pre-Socratics and Aristotle and Plato and William James and Kant and Mill. Like, honestly, he's pulling all of these voices, Kierkegaard, right into the discussion, and they're all having it in real time together. Oh, we have a tech problem. What's going on? Hold on. I'm going to fix this right now. 1 second. We're going to fix this right now. For those of you who are still here, we had that video. Then we are doing There we go. We fixed it. Fantastic. We waited for you. Are you there?
Right here.
Fantastic.
Go on.
So we did a video on some Platonic sources and things that you might want to read. And then right now, what I'm doing is the discarded image. So this video has to be uploaded to YouTube still and then replaced. So it's not the right video on the website yet. But we've done 2 videos right now so far. Where am I? Let me click on this. Okay. Where we're reading through C.S. Lewis's Discarded Image. So now that we've done a lot of Aristotle, a lot of Platonic sources that were influential in the arguments that Aquinas is making, either for or against, now we're reading this awesome book by C.S. Lewis. And it's a collection of lectures that he's given more than once at Oxford, turned into a book called The Discarded Image. And what it is his thesis that you can understand the model, that there was a model of the universe created by the medieval and Renaissance thinkers that can be understood if you recognize that their culture was a scholastic culture. It was a culture not just scholastic in the sense of worshiping Aristotle, but it was an academic culture that revered books. And what happened was they had Germanic and pagan and Christian texts. And what they found was that they couldn't really throw any of them out. So, what they needed to do, since they seemed to believe that there was truth in all of it, was to create a model that could incorporate all of it. And what he does through this book, as an introduction to medieval and Renaissance literature, is effortlessly quote poets from those times and show us the progression of the building of that model and the way that the medievals thought. One of the distinctions is that they clearly could think astrophysically and they understood the earth was round. And at the same time, they could think cosmologically and understand that the conversation about your place in the universe might be depicted differently than the physical descriptions, and that they could have both at the same time. So that's what we've been reading. One of the most astonishing things that we found so far was the fact that geocentricity does not imply anthropocentricity. In other words, he thinks that the geocentric view of the medievals was anthropoperipheral. In other words, you are at the center because all of the realms of actual effectiveness and influence are far away from you, and that puts you at the absolute periphery of the margins, and that it looks the opposite from the inside as it looks from the outside, and from the inside it looks like this, but that doesn't mean that you're in the center in the way that we often in modern times think the medievals thought. So we've got some really great insights. That was one of them. And I'm going to shut up now, say hi to you again, and then let you know that in this video, we're planning on reading some more of this book as we find more insights from him.
Perfect. I won't be long though. I won't sit with you for a long time because I have to. I'm sorry for that, but I have to leave.
That's
But
okay.
I'm glad at least to catch a glimpse. At least to catch a glimpse.
We are so happy to have you here. And one of the reasons we mentioned you in the last video is that we need someone here to take the moronic American mispronunciations of my readings. There's a lot of Greek and stuff in this, and it's not being pronounced properly. So please turn off your mic and shout when we get to those words because I'm not going to read them properly and we need your help.
All right.
And
All right.
for the amount of time that you can be here. And with that, we're going to continue in this next section. So now he's looked at everything from Calcidius, and now so we're just at the transition period from ancient pagan to medieval. Hey, Roger, welcome. You also can help.
Great to be with you guys.
Hi, Roger.
Hello, Elena. A long time. Great to see that you online.
Thank you. Thank you. As I said to Zara earlier, I won't be sitting for a long time because I have to leave, but it's just nice to be with you again.
It's so good to see you.
Please go on.
With all of that said, I don't know if we did a simultaneous sip, but let's do another one. You get your cup, your mug, your glass, your tankard, chalice, thermos, stein, canteen, jug, or flask, vessel of any kind. Join me now for the unparalleled pleasure, dopamine hit of the day, thing that makes everything better, called the simultaneous sip, and it happens right now. Elena, cheers. Ah, that's some good sipping.
Portuguese beer.
Okay. This is our third video today where we are reading through, and I already summarized it, but we're reading through the discarded image to understand how the medievals thought about the world. Let's see what we can find out by looking at the at the transition period into medieval, where he focuses on the writing of Macrobius. Macrobius lived at the end of the 4th century and the beginning of the 5th centuries. His religion has been doubted, but there seems no solid reason for supposing that it was other than paganism. All right. So some of these guys, he says, it's really hard to tell if they're pagans or Christians because it's not a war between opposites as much as people would like to think it is. And it's even hard to tell who some of the writers are. But his conclusion on this guy is he's a pagan. He belonged, however, to a circle in which Christian and pagan could freely mingle. The Christian Albinus and that great pagan champion of the elder Symmachus were among his friends. Of his 2 works, the Saturnalia, a long, learned, urbane, and rambling conversation piece, does not concern us. Our business is with his commentary on the Somnium Scipionis. This and the text which accompanied it saved that part of Cicero's Republic for us. Nearly 50 manuscripts survive. It was a work of immense reputation and long-lasting influence. On geography, Microbius repeats Cicero's doctrine of the 5 zones. So we have the 5 zones again, and we'll remember from this video that the Earth is believed to exist with 5 zones. There's 2 caps that are too cold to live in, and there's a band around the middle that's too hot to live in, and there's basically alien life on the other side of that gap, and it's the antipodes, the peoples whose feet walk opposite to yours, that are on the other side of the Earth. And so we've seen how the language could be Rome is maybe now beneath our feet. We're so lost that we might be on another planet, which is the other side of this planet. Okay, so he repeats that idea of the 5 zones. It is reasonable to suppose that the southern temperate zone is, like ours, inhabited, but we have never had and shall never have the possibility of discovering by whom. The idea, he writes. Macrobius finds it still necessary, it would not have been in the Middle Ages, to remove a childish misunderstanding of what we call gravitation. There is no danger lest the inhabitants of the southern hemisphere should fall off into the nether sky. The Earth's surface is down for them as it is for us. Okay, this is just the transition period, the first 500 years of the century, of the millennia. The ocean covers most of the torrid zone. 2 great branches from it in the east and 2 in the west flow north and south to meet at the poles. From the meeting of their currents, the tide results. The dry land thus falls into 4 main divisions. The great landmass of Europe, Asia, and Africa is doubtless one of these 4. Maybe. Maybe the North Africa. A diagrammatically simplified version of this layout survives in the latter wheel maps, as we are cut off in space from the antipodes, the people whose feet walk backward to ours. So we are almost cut off in time from most of the past. Nearly the whole human race has frequently been destroyed by great global catastrophes, nearly, for there has always been a remnant. Egypt has never been destroyed. This is why Egyptian records amount to an antiquity elsewhere unknown. The ideas go back to Plato's Timaeus, which in its turn may have been suggested by the delightful story in Herodotus. Hecataeus, the historian, visiting Egyptian Thebes, boasted that he was descended from a god in the 6th generation, which would take him safely back to a period before any continuous Greek records. Then the priests took him into a hall where he stood. We know the story. Stood the statues of those who had held the hereditary priesthood, and traced the line back, son to father, son to father. When they had reached the 145th generation, they had still not come to within sight of a god or even a demigod. This reflects the real difference between Egyptian and Greek history. And we remember that story elsewhere in our readings. Thus, though civilization in most parts of the earth is always comparatively recent, the universe has always existed. If Macrobius describes its formation in terms which imply time, this must be taken merely as a convenience of discourse. Whatever was purest and most limpid, liquidissimus, rose to the highest place and was called aether. All right, we've already been looking at this in the last section, so I'll go over it again. But aether and sky are 2 different things. Aether and air are 2 different things. Sky and earth are 2 different things. And so there's these realms of authority and influence as you move up. And So he's referring to this idea of aether again. For this guy, whatever is purest and most liquid rose to the top and became aether. So its origination is from a mix of maybe nature below, which is different. That which had less purity and some small degree of weight became air and sank to the second level. That which had still some more fluidity but was gross or corpulentum enough to offer tactual resistance was gathered together into a stream of, you guessed it, water. Finally, out of the whole tumult of matter, all that is irreclaimable or vastum was scraped off and cleansed from the other elements. Ex defacatis abrasum elementis. So we're just going to take out all of the hard stuff. That's probably land, right? And sank down and settled at the lowest point, plunged in binding and unending cold. Earth is, in fact, the offscorings of creation, the cosmic dustbin. This passage may also throw light on one in Milton in Paradise Lost. So, what he's going to do is right now we're just at the beginning in the 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 AD. But that's the transition period. And he's taking these Aristotelian and Platonic writers, these ancient Greeks, and he's showing how these ideas are evolving in the Neoplatonic but Christian conversation as the medieval age is emerging. And then he's going to look at all of the literary things that are basically citing this to trace it right through. So he goes all the way up to Milton in Paradise Lost 7. The sun has just marked out the spherical area of the universe with his golden compasses. Then the Spirit of God, quote, downward purged the black Tartarus, cold infernal dregs. Wow, that definitely, without a doubt, sounds exactly like the way that this individual is thinking here, does it not? Okay. It adds to our understanding of medieval poetry. All right.
Zara, hold on. Zara, hold on.
Yes, please.
Please help me get my bearings here. So, as I understand, this is from C.S. Lewis, and he has compiled thoughts from ancient thinkers from this Macrobius. Is it right?
Yeah, this is from the early transition from ancient to medieval, because what he wants to do is introduce medieval and Renaissance literature through the lens of a model he thinks that the medievals were engaged in trying to compose. And that model was taking all written sources that they have and basically regarding them as true, and then trying to find a way to incorporate them with each other. And so he's looking at the ancient sources that they, as transitioning from ancient to this now transitional period where the medievals are putting it in. So you've got Milton here saying, as God's creating the universe, right, the sun is encircling a sphere, and then the Spirit of God downward plunged to the black Tartarus, cold infernal dregs, the garbage, the bit of matter that was left. And he's saying that comes from this Neoplatonic thinker. That idea is evident here. I don't know why I scrolled up too much. Or maybe I didn't. Anyway, that's what he's up to right now.
This is very archetypal. Often divinities that are very, very important, like literally God, tend to be associated with order, and their necessity involves them domineering or subduing or eradicating chaos, pure chaos that is considered evil and against being, against existence.
I think what I'm going to do is, since we're already in the middle of the book while you're joining, I'm going to, after this reading or the next one, I'm going to make a slideshow of everything, because you missed some really awesome stuff. You're going to really like what we went into in the last two videos. But he's pretty solidly demonstrated some interesting curiosities about medieval thought that were not apparent to me and that most modern thinkers don't consider from looking at the literature as the evidence, because he says the layperson has to resonate with this literature. And so the poet is writing things that they would understand. And one of them that struck me is really astonishing. He points out that for the medievals, geocentricity is not the same as anthropocentricity. Their geocentric view of the world was anthropoperipheral. He says The reason why you're at the center is that from the inside, it looks the opposite as it does from the spiritual realm. And the reason why you're at the center is that you're actually at the margin of the margin of the margin of the least effective possible thing you could be. That's where the earth is. And we just don't think of it that way in the story that we tell of the way they thought. So let's see if by reading the quotes from this guy and tracing the literature through Macrobius, that we can get another insight into the way the medievals actually thought, which of course is being done in the context of our reading of Aquinas, which we've been doing. So that's why we're taking a break to do this. Okay, Verity takes this to mean that he expelled from them the spherical area, purging them down into chaos, which in Milton, for certain purposes, has an absolute up and down. But down might equally well mean towards the center of the cosmic sphere, and dregs would exactly fit the conception of Macrobius, as we saw. To a modern reader, what Macrobius has to say about dreams will seem a not very important item in his commentary. The Middle Ages must have thought differently, since it is clearly to this section that he owes the title Ornicensis or or Onocracius, which follows his name in some manuscripts and is there explained as quasi somniorium udex, or somniorum interpres, so the interpreter of dreams. Both words would be garbled translations of. We have Elena here.
This is a job for a native Greek.
Yeah, put out the bat signal, the big shadow E that we have. Somebody quick throw the switch, and we need Elena to help us to find out what the dream interpreter
Big
language is.
owl of Athena.
That's right. Anyway, his scheme is
Oneiro,
oh, there we go. Now we can hear you.
Oneirocritus.
I got it right.
Oh, wait a minute. You already said it?
I think Roger got it.
Oneirocritus.
Roger, I didn't even hear you say it. I must. All right, say it again.
Oneirocritus.
Okay. Oneirocritus?
Roger, you can read it.
What?
You can read it.
Oneirocritus?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Good for you, Roger.
Yeah, I tried learning the Greek alphabet as best I could and the pronunciations. So yeah, I hope I'm getting somewhere.
Okay, good. We have two helpers then. I didn't even. We are rich. Okay, this scheme is derived from the Onerocritica of Artemidorus, 1st century AD. According to it, there are 5 species of dreams, 3 veridical and 2 which have no divination, nihil divinationis, in them. The veridical kinds are as follows: somnium. This shows us truths veiled in an allegorical form. Pharaoh's dream of the fat and lean kine would be a specimen. Every allegorical dream poem in the Middle Ages records a foreign somnium. Nearly all dreams are assumed to be somnia by modern psychologists, and the somnium is the dream in Chaucer's Hours of Fame. Visio, or a vision, is the second category of veridical dream. This is a direct, literal prevision of the future. Mr. Dunn's experiment with time is mainly about visions. This type appears as a vision in Chaucer. And the third type is oraculum, the third and final verical type of dream. In this one, of the dreamer's parents or some other grave and venerable person appears and openly declares the future or gives advice. Such dreams are Chaucer's oracles. The useless kinds are insomnium. This merely repeats working preoccupations. The Tartar dreameth how his cart's goon, as Chaucer says. And visum, this occurs when, not yet fully asleep and believing ourselves to be still awake, we see shapes rushing Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Every time there's a drop of rain around here, everything has to crash.
Oh, okay.
So sorry. I didn't even know this would still be live streaming. All right, let's add this back in. Unbelievable. If this goes down again, I'm going to do my best to end the stream, and what I'll do is I'll make all the slideshow stuff so that we can, catch up to where we are as we start the next video. All right, so the last one, vism. This occurs when not yet fully asleep and believing ourselves to be still awake. We see shapes rushing towards us and flitting hither and thither. Epialates, or nightmare, is included in this class. Chaucer's phantom is clearly the vism, and his sweven is presumably an insomnium. This is more likely than the alternative equation, dream, for vism, uh, and sveven for somnium, in view of the contempt with which Dame Pertelote speaks of svevenes. She was a well-educated bird and knew both physic and the distichs of Dionysius Cato. A dream may combine the characters of more than one species. Scipio's dream is an oralaculum, insofar as a venerable person appears in it to predict and warn; a visio, insofar as it gives literal truths about the celestial regions; a somnium, insofar as its highest meaning, its altitudo, is concealed. To this altitudo, Cicero, as we have seen, devised a heaven for statesmen. He looks no higher than public life and the virtues which that life demands. Microbius brings to the reading of Cicero a wholly different point of view, the mystical, ascetic, world-renouncing theology of Neoplatonism. The center of interest for him lies in the purgation of the individual soul, the ascent of the alone to the alone, and nothing could well be more foreign to the mind of Cicero. This change of spiritual atmosphere meets us very early in his commentary. Cicero's feigned somnium could be attacked as Plato's vision of air had been attacked, on the ground that no species of fiction is becoming to a philosopher. Microbius replies by distinguishing different kinds of figmentum. One, where all is feigned, as in a comedy by Menander. No philosopher would use this. Two, where the reader's mind is stimulated to behold some form or appearance of virtues or powers ad quandam virtutum specium. This may be subdivided into 2a and 2b. In 2a, the whole story is feigned, as in Aesop's fables, but in 2b, the argument is grounded in solid truth, but that truth itself is exhibited by means of fictions. The stories about the gods in Hesiod or Orpheus, which of course Macrobius interpreted allegorically, are examples. The knowledge of holy things is here hidden under a pious veil of figments. This last is the only sort which philosophy admits. But note, it does not admit even this on all its themes. It will treat thus of the soul, or of the aerial and ethereal beings, or of the other gods. But the license to feign extends no further. Philosophy would never use this method when speaking of God the highest and first of all things, whom the Greeks called the good. Is that arche? This word here.
It is tagathon, I believe.
Tagathon. And this begins with a P. Oh, the first cause. Or of mind, whom the Greeks called nous, which is the offspring of the and procession from the highest, wherein dwell the archetypes.
That is nous. I'm not sure if you pronounce it nous.
I think I did. Nous?
Okay.
How did I pronounce it?
I'm not sure because I have background noise here, sorry.
Okay. How do you pronounce this one, the first cause?
Proton aition.
Okay.
Yeah, so you see the character pi, the rho, the omega, the tau, all, and the nu proton. Yeah, go ahead.
I am shocked that you're still here. Listen, we're going to call it quits because it's just going to keep happening. I'm going to go
Okay.
over the slides and updating up either by watching those videos or by the slides that we start when we do it again. I got to get a battery backup or something for all this. So you're going to like what you saw in that last video, though. I'm going to add them all into one section on the website for the discarded image. But
Sure.
let me do this. Let me end the stream and you and I can talk about something.